Hi, this is a test, but pretty much here is the map I used to make the Skull Island recreation from the movie King Kong 2005. I've used several hundred different assets to get this kind of accurate, and in a way, it's mostly inspired, so it's not completely 100%. Ironically enough, the ship from the Lost World is called the Venture, which is inspired by the ship that takes King Kong back to New York. And here's a recreation of that someone had built as a kind of a docked or mainly crashed ship. So this is the sense where the ship is crashed in the movie. From there, the crew from the Venture and the King Kong movie, if I can get through, find their way through a tunnel and some ruins, which lead them to the main village. I used mainly more assets to kind of build kind of a recreation of what the village is like, with some of the buildings being covered by wood and kind of splintered driftwood to kind of give it that kind of that eerie feeling that the movie gave it. And it's also partly inspired by the game too that came out the same year. From there, the wall, which is the only wall I was kind of able to find. I haven't really made anything of myself, aside using different duplicating processes with the wood. The wall is actually from the 1933 King Kong movie. And then on the other side of that wall is kind of like the inspired version of 2005 with the wood jutting out from the sides to kind of keep um, the villagers safe inside. This is also is where Andero in the 2005 movie was kind of hanging out, and lack of a better word pun, and where Kong would take her. And then from there, everything's pretty shortened to the map because of scale. But from there, that's where the crew would find the Brontosaurus, where right now I'm using the Apatosaurus as they as they were in the valley area with the ruins. They were eating before the venatosaurs, which I use the atrociraptors for this version. They are kind of hiding, but if I can zoom in further, you'd see that there they are, the atrociraptors filling in the role. And then because of that scene, they trigger a stampede that goes through kind of a canyon street system that's kind of crumbling in the movie. This is kind of where that would end, and one of the crew dies. Um, there's a deleted scene where the crew eventually comes to a swamp at the end of all that. And that's this recreation of it here. So there's the swamp. There's some dinosaurs teaming around. It's kind of hard to kind of get the dinosaurs to stay in a place without using a lot of rocks that kind of make it a little crazy. But since we're here, this is a valley. In the game, there's a river system that they cut through. This is kind of neighboring the canyon on the side. So where like the V-Rex would chase the crew. This side is where the V-Rex would be, but they let them out, so they're kind of just running around, which is in this case is a T-Rex. So nothing really much happens in this side, but it's kind of just giving a lot of hill, a lot of rocks, a lot of that jagged feeling the movie and the game gets. And here is where the log scene happens, where everyone's about to cross. Kong comes around and he knocks that log down because of the elevation. It's kind of triggering the camera a little crazy. So from there, Jack is the one that goes across. Video game wise, there's a large amount of ruins that actually go up the whole mountain that Kong lives on. So that kind of leads to this, where I use some of these assets. So here, this is where Jack would quote unquote go into the mountain. And from this perspective, you could see that it's just a jagged, kind of eroded piece of rock of what the mountain was originally in the past. So lots of ruins on the top, not much trees, kind of wind eroding and water erosion. And then it gets to the top where in the movie Kong, or in the game, comes out to this little side, which is Kong's lair. And from there, you get the inevitable scene where, or the scene, not inevitable, where Kong and Ann are kind of overlooking all of Skull Island. Much of what the movie takes place in the game too. It's just kind of like the southern tip. So all of that is mainly recreation from the map here. But from this point of view, you can kind of see that I've made a general appearance of what the map looks like, at least from the book, from sources I was able to find. The 2005 one's a pretty tiny island in perspective to like how it feels grand and giant. It's actually a little bigger by not much the Manhattan Island itself. So right here, it's just not too much happening. There's a bay. There's some animals here that kind of can freely go around the island. The forest here opens up to a valley with more animals here. So there's brontosauruses, the Allura Titan. I believe a Nasutoceratops is somewhere over here too. But this is kind of like the last bastion of like the lowland areas that the book talks about heavily, where it's mainly being taken over by rainforest. Again, this is as best as I can get it, just making it very jagged, making it very eroded, like the island's on its last couple of years before in the book where it says it eventually like collapses back into the sea. Here, I had to make this, so it's kind of just a little staging area to get animals around. I've actually had several different staging areas, so coming back here, I've actually hidden a maintenance center and a hatchery. That's one of the like, from the creation lab that's kind of hidden by rocks and trees. So easily can get these brontosauruses back if they die. Right now, they're kind of just living on a setting where they just don't die. Other than that, that's about it. So I hope you enjoy. I hope everyone can either edit the map to their liking if they see any kind of faults. I made it to the best that I thought was nice. There's still going to be a lot more edits in the future. So just be on the lookout, and I hope you like it. Have a good time.